I understand that you've learned some information about what's going on in the campaign behind what Landon Johnson's doing with the recall petition. What have you learned, and how do you respond to what you've learned?
So I've been in a council meeting all day, but I have had a chance to be briefed very quickly by my team, and I've managed to look at a few things. It appears that there are members of the UCP who have, headed up electoral committees and have longstanding ties with both provincial and federal conservative parties, who have created a management system, if you will, of how to develop a local party for the future election. And it's all being leveraged through the recall petition. So when this all started, my biggest concern was, is this in fact a recall petition that's being launched by a single individual because they're unhappy with my performance, although they don't have to indicate any of that? Or is this something that will have more nefarious results? And from what I've seen, this seems to be a very organized effort. This doesn't seem to be just one individual. I believe that person may have been co-opted. Certainly, there are too many ties to ignore the fact that this is being driven by people who want conservatives at municipal elected positions, and trying to remove me is the first step in that.
Any concerns or advice for people who have signed or are considering signing the petitions?
I think individuals should know what they're signing, and I have said this from the beginning. If you are not sure how your information is going to be used, if you are not sure who it's going to be shared with, if you are not sure how it's going to be protected, you shouldn't be signing things. Now, Calgarians can make their own choices. I'm not telling anyone you can't do this. What I'm saying is you should be asking some questions, because if your personal data is now being shared with a group that's trying to form a conservative party for a municipal election, and that's not what you signed up for, I think your data may be compromised.
Mayor, I did speak with Landon Johnston about this, and he said that that's one of the flaws in the actual legislation, is that this can be co-opted by anyone. And in fact, they contacted him. He said, feel free to lend your support, but he's a man on a singular mission, and that it's not as nefarious as we might think. How would you respond to that?
I guess we'll see how it is. My understanding is that the petition to recall me is much more organized than one individual. There are positions. There are people who hold these positions to actively keep the recall going. And I don't need to point out to anyone that signs cost money, hats cost money, T-shirts cost money. We have no idea where this money is coming from because it doesn't have to be reported. And so, to say that it's an individual on a solo journey just doesn't work out anymore. Unless this individual has enough money to bankroll this whole thing. But the entire point of the petition was, you're making this city hard for me to make a living in.
But why wouldn't it, I'm just trying to figure this out now, because I've spoken with him and I spoke to him when he started. Why couldn't it make sense that it starts with one person and then other people come and say, we want to help you. We want to raise money for the recall. We want to try to organize the recall. We want to
It
order signs
absolutely
for
makes sense that, people
So he may
may
have
want
started
to.
as a solo act.
I didn't say he didn't
No,
start
no.
as a solo act. So
But
the
other people
point
join in.
is, the point is, if you start as a solo act and you want to keep things in your control and you want to have your message delivered, then you should understand that when you're inviting other people to the table and asking them to participate with you, especially when you're accepting donations, what you're trying to achieve on your own becomes compromised. I can't say that this is a solo effort anymore until I know for sure what is happening with the information that's been uncovered today. And, I'm a little bit concerned that as a sitting elected official, someone who was duly noted, there is an attempt to remove me from office by an organized group who simply wants a conservative. That's not how democracy works.